Welcome to the Maryland Means Business podcast. It's Monday, and we've got a rundown that starts fun and ends with some real statewide numbers to chew on.
I like a Monday like this. We've got pop culture retail news, a university trying to make up for lost time on entrepreneurship, and a heritage grant program that is quietly worth $2.5 billion a year to this state.
$2.5 billion. We'll get there, I promise. And honestly, it might be the biggest number we've talked about on this show in a while. It might be. But let's earn our way there. Chessie's rule, save the biggest number for last. It's the kind of number that makes you wonder how many quiet programs like this are running in the background of this state without anyone putting a headline on them.
Your rule, and I'll follow it. So where do you want to start?
Start light. Let's talk about Arundel Mills Mall, because Anne Arundel County is finally getting its first Pop Mart.
Pop Mart, the collectibles company. My daughter has the little vinyl figures all over her desk, so I know this one well.
You are not alone, Cal. The company announced on July 8th that it's opening its first Anne Arundel County store, and it's going into Arundel Mills, right near the dining pavilion.
And this is not their first Maryland stop, right? I feel like I've seen one of these before.
You have. They already have stores at Towson Town Center and the mall in Columbia, so this makes 3 for the state.
3 stores in this shorter window is a pretty aggressive pace for a retail brand right now, when a lot of malls are struggling to fill space at all.
That's what makes this one fun. This story did not come out of nowhere either. Arundel Mills already had a Pop Mart vending machine, one of those RoboShop kiosks near the Lego store.
So the vending machine did well enough that it earned the mall a full storefront?
Basically. And I think that's a smart way to test a market before committing real square footage to it. Arundel Mills general manager Gene Condon said the brand creates, quote, a highly engaging experience that resonates with today's shopper and reinforces the mall as a destination for what's new and next.
And Pop Mart itself says the new store will have exclusive collectibles, immersive displays, and limited edition releases.
No opening date locked in yet, just sometime this summer. But for a mall that's been fighting to stay relevant against online shopping, landing a brand with this kind of cult following is a real win.
It's a small story on paper, but I think it tells you something bigger about what's working in retail right now. People want to touch the thing before they buy it, and they want the whole experience of hunting for it.
Right, and that's good news for every mall and shopping center trying to figure out its next move. It's not just about filling square footage. It's about picking tenants people will drive out of their way for. Other malls in the state should be taking notes too. If a vending machine can prove out demand before you sign a lease, that's a cheap way to de-risk a big decision.
Worth watching if you run a retail space anywhere in the state, or even if you're just leasing a small storefront and wondering what kind of neighbor draws foot traffic your way.
Vending machines is a test market. Who knew?
Test the demand small, then scale up once you know it's real. That's not a bad playbook for any small business owner thinking about expansion, not just a global collectibles brand.
Good point. All right, Cal, what's next on the list?
This one is a story I really like, because it's not about a company opening a store, it's about fixing a gap that's existed for decades. Johns Hopkins just ran its very first Alumni Accelerator.
Wait, first ever? Hopkins has been around forever.
That's exactly the point. The program came out of the university's Pava Center for Entrepreneurship, and it launched this spring specifically for alumni who graduated before Hopkins built up its entrepreneurship support system.
So people who went through school, got their degree, and never had access to the accelerators and mentorship and pitch competitions that current students get.
Exactly. Program Director Josh Ambrose put it well. He said there's a whole generation of folks that predate entrepreneurship centers.
That's a nice way to put it. And it's a gap I bet exists at every older university, not just Hopkins. So how did the program actually work?
18 weeks, and they took 9 teams out of about 60 applicants. Each of the 9 teams got a $5,000 non-dilutive grant, no equity taken.
And there was a grand prize on top of that?
There was. One team, Gargoyle Systems, won an additional $15,000.
I love that they let people join remotely, too, for founders who aren't local anymore. That opens the door for a lot of alumni who moved away decades ago and never looked back.
Yes, Assistant Director Jake Dreyer said they were intentional about making it what he called a choose-your-own-adventure, so people scattered around the country could still take part on their own terms.
And did any of them end up moving to Baltimore because of it? That's the question I always have with programs like this.
4 of the 9 teams relocated to Baltimore after going through the program.
4 out of 9. That's the real payoff for the city, honestly. You run a program like this, and nearly half of it turns into people actually setting up shop, hiring locally, and paying local rent.
And the 9 companies span life sciences, defense, and edtech, which, Chessie, ties right into that biohealth momentum we talked about a few episodes back. The region keeps landing in the top 3 nationally for biopharma, and here's another pipeline feeding into it.
It really does connect. It's one thing to have big, established players carrying that ranking. It's another to have a steady stream of new founders coming up underneath them.
An anonymous donor funded the whole thing too, which says something about how much appetite there is in this state for backing overlooked founders.
If you're an alumni of any Maryland university sitting on an idea you never chased, this is the kind of program worth keeping an eye on for next year.
60 applicants for 9 spots is competitive too, so clearly the demand was already there, just nobody had built the door for it yet. It also says something that a program built for people the system had already passed by still pulled in that much interest on its very first run.
And I'd bet the schools watching this closely, Cal, are other universities across the state, wondering if their own alumni are sitting on the same untapped ideas.
Probably more than a few provosts taking notes this week. Great story. All right, last one. And this is where the numbers get big.
This one surprised me the most, honestly, because I did not expect a heritage grant program to be a business story. But stick with me.
Go for it.
Governor Moore just announced $5 million in new grants through the Maryland Heritage Areas program, 58 matching grants going out to nonprofits, local governments, and heritage tourism groups.
58 is a lot of individual projects to fund in one round.
It is, and they're spread across the state's 13 heritage areas. We're talking museums, parks, arts organizations, historic sites, schools, the whole range of groups that take care of Maryland's cultural and natural resources.
13 areas covering just about every corner of the state, too, not concentrated in one region. Eastern Shore, Western Maryland, the Baltimore Corridor, all of it. Okay, but here's the number that got my attention. This program generates $2.4 billion a year in economic benefit.
Billion with a B, and it supports almost 34,000 jobs across the state, 33,815 to be exact.
That is not a small side program. That's a real economic engine. And most people probably think of it as a history and tourism thing, not a jobs thing.
That's exactly why I wanted to bring it to the show. Governor Moore said the grants ensure the history and culture that makes the state great gets preserved through public-private partnerships that boost local economies.
And the head of the Heritage Areas Authority, Rebecca Flora, gave a lot of credit to the staff and volunteers at these organizations. She said there's a debt of gratitude owed to the people preserving the identities of Maryland's communities.
It's a nice reminder that a lot of small nonprofits and local governments are quietly running businesses too. Payroll, vendors, tourism dollars, gift shops, cafes down the street, all of it adds up.
And if you run a small business anywhere near one of these 13 heritage areas, that foot traffic from a funded project down the block is worth paying attention to. It's free marketing for the whole neighborhood.
This program has approved more than $74 million in grants since it started back in 1996.
Almost 30 years of funding main streets and museums and historic downtowns. That adds up to a lot of small towns getting a reason for people to stop and spend money instead of just driving through.
It's the kind of program that never makes headlines on its own, one grant at a time. But the cumulative effect is enormous. $2.4 billion a year is not a rounding error for this state's economy. That's the case for a lot of the best economic development work. It's not one big ribbon cutting. It's 58 small ones happening quietly across the calendar year.
And it's a good example of why we like closing on a story like this. It's not flashy, there's no ribbon cutting with balloons, but it's the kind of steady public investment that keeps a lot of small operators in business year after year.
Well said, Cal. Agreed. That is our Monday rundown. A collectible store, a university finally opening its doors to its own alumni, and a heritage program quietly worth billions.
3 very different kinds of good news. And that's sort of the point of this show. If you want more of it, find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or watch the full episode on YouTube.
And head to marylandmeans.business to sign up for the newsletter so you get the rundown in your inbox too. Plus a few extras we don't always get to on the show.
One more thing before we go. This show is researched, written, and voiced with AI. And every story you heard comes straight from the sources in our show notes, so you can go check our work.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
And remember, Maryland means business.